All right, next up is Pete Afro Shungu. He is a hip-hop MC, a spoken word poet, a trumpet player who uses performance as an art, as a medium to inspire young people, and also to raise a voice of important issues and affect positive social change. He performs as a solo artist and with his live hip-hop soul jazz band, the Afro D All-Stars, that's with the Z, a multiracial, multilingual, multi-talented group. He grew up in New Jersey with his father's from the Dominican Republic of the Congo and his mother's from Kansas. He is also a graduate of Tufts University and he currently lives in Bedford. And also, if you like what you hear, he will be selling CDs in the front after the show. And he will be accompanied with
Tanya Richardson, who is from the Worcester area, and she is a songstress and songwriter, and she's been involved in music most of her life. Some of her projects include singing in various a cappella groups to her own solo album work in the R&B genre. She continues to reinvent herself and now proudly showcases her talents as one of the more recent members to the Afro D All-Stars band. So let's give them a welcome.
So thank you, Emily and Jack, for the wonderful introduction. I did want to make one quick clarification. My father's from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I was like, that sounds like a really cool country, the Dominican Republic of Congo. So all good, all good. So no, but thank you so much. And let's give them both a round of applause. Being awesome hosts tonight. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to jump right into my first piece. When I was like 10, I would have never ever said the F word or the S word or the B word. Now see, I was that shy little nice kid, more concerned with getting good grades or winning in kickball at recess than putting other people down and shouting out the most explicit, offensive words I could think of. You know, the words that little kids use to put down other little kids. But when I got older, I began to adopt those four-letter words into my vocabulary. I began to use the F word and the S word. I began to realize that those words were strong words, words that could be used to express my growing frustration with racism, sexism, heterosexism, every other ism, the media, the world. I began to say things like, that's bull S word. And on the real, there's a lot of bull S word out there, but even as I began to adopt these four-letter words into my vocabulary, one five-letter word remained absent from my speech. The B word. See, when I was little, I knew there was something different about that word, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But then when I got old enough to understand the implications of that word, I told myself that this was a word that I would always stay away from. But I hear brothers throwing around that word like it's nothing. I hear cats say, oh, you know, I'm only referring to a certain type of woman when I use that word. But if a white person got up in their face using the N-word and said, I'm only using it to refer to a certain type of black person, I don't think that would be cool. At least I hope it wouldn't be cool. So why is it cool for men to use the B word to women and not care if it's cool with them? Not care if they've been taunted and tormented by that word their whole lives. Not care if that word has far too often been accompanied by a punch or a slap or even a rape. Because I think about the women living in battered women's shelters trying to raise 3 kids on their own. I think about the women who stay in abusive relationships for the sake of the children because they are too scared to leave. They forget the words of Queen Latifah from that old school joint, U-N-I-T-Y, when she says, a man don't really love you if he hits you. Because see, the mentality that says it's okay to hit a woman is the same mentality that says it's okay to use the B word. And if you look up the B word in the dictionary, it probably says a female dog. Wait, hold up. A female dog. So we're basically putting a woman on the same level as a poodle or a Doberman or a Chihuahua, and even dogs we call man's best friend. So if dogs are man's best friend, where does that leave women? Man's second best friends? Man's companion one step below dogs? Man's main B word? See, fellas, I hope you hear me on this. I mean, when I see a woman grace the stage and hear her talk about how women are constantly put down by sexism, how no really does mean no, and how falling in love is a beautiful thing. So if 2 women or 2 men for that matter fall in love, then falling in love is a beautiful thing. I don't hear the words of an evil man-hating feminist. I hear the words of a proud woman speaking the truth. I mean, to me, A feminist is anyone who stands up for women's rights and realizes women don't have equality in this country or this world. So I'm proud to say I'm a feminist. Because fellas, we need to learn to appreciate economically successful women, not feel, thank you. We need to learn to appreciate economically successful women, not feel threatened by their money and power. We need to learn to value a woman for who she really is. Because if you value a woman for who she really is, it shouldn't make all the difference whether she's light-skinned or dark-skinned, thick or thin, curly hair or straight, because you know she got that inner beauty. I hope y'all can relate. And let me make a declaration loud and clear so all y'all can hear. We need to start truly treating women as equals, because all men are created equal, should be all people. So real quick before I bring Tanya to the stage for this next piece, I actually want to do a real quick interlude. I have to admit that before this event, I did not know that February was Teen Dating Violence Prevention Month. Am I getting that right? So I was educated by that, and so that's something that I'm going to take with me in the future, and something that I think both that last piece and the piece I'm going to share definitely connect with. As many of you know, February is also Black History Month. So what I'm actually going to do is play a piece that connects to both of those things. It's We Shall Overcome, so some people may know that piece, deeply rooted in the tradition of the civil rights movement, but it's also a piece that connects very deeply to the issue of domestic violence as something that we do need to overcome. Thank you for singing along. You almost made me want to go into like 5 verses, but I was like, we're gonna keep things moving because this has been a great program, and we want to kind of finish things off with just and speaking of that, this is Tanya Richardson right here. She's a member of my band, the Afro, the All-Stars. Yeah, thank you to Emily for mentioning that we do have CDs on sale, and actually for tonight only, the CDs are $10, but I'll be donating $5 at every sale to MAAV because I feel like it's a really, this is a really important cause to support. So if you are interested, feel free to see us afterwards. This particular song, we also made a video for this song. It's called Memories Live On, and it's really, just a song that we really want. We really want that message to be out there. So, without further ado, this is Memories Live On. Actually, sorry. I'm gonna pull an Emily right there and say without further ado, and then come back and add something. So I'm taking a lot of cues from you. I'm actually learning on how to be a better host. Yeah, I did want to mention that this particular song, if you go on YouTube, youtube.com/AfroDallStars with a Z at the end, you can check out this video. He was a good kid, always did what he was told. The kind his parents didn't even need to scold, except the time they found him wearing a dress. That was bad. The only time he ever got hit by his dad, around 7th grade, he starts to feel this shame because other boys start liking girls, but he doesn't feel the same. And some kids start chanting his name and that 3-letter F word like it was a game. Who's to blame when a young man thinks that who he is wrong, pushing him to the edge when all along he really just needs some affirmation, some acceptance instead of all this condemnation. But he just retreats further within because at church, the pastor says being gay is a sin. So he's got no one to talk to at the valley of the shadow of death with no one to help him walk through. through. He's got to stay strong, stay focused, stay sane, so he writes poems to escape the pain. He brings his book of poems everywhere he goes. The only way he can come out, but still nobody knows that one day this kid steals his book of poetry and posts his words on Facebook for the world to see. Sticks and stones can break bones, but words can cut like a knife. And that was the night that he took his own life.
These are the memories of life and love gone wrong. How can I find the strength within myself to be strong? And don't forget me, 'cause we are the same. And when I'm gone, who's to blame?
She wakes up in the middle of the night once again to the sound of a mother and a father in a fight. Wishing it was all a bad dream as she hears the sound of flesh striking flesh and her mother screams. But she loves them both, so she blocks it out, thinking her parents' love's the one thing she couldn't do without. She starts thinking that push come to shove, maybe violence is just one way of expressing love. Freshman year, she meets this boy who she kinda likes. At first, he buys her pretty things and he treats her nice. But soon he starts pressuring her to do it. But she's only 13 years old, she's not ready and she knew it. But when she tells him no, he starts to hit her, saying that if she really loved him, she'd let him get with her. But when he starts accusing her of cheating, she finally gains the strength to leave him and escape the beating. Then she meets this girl one day at the store. She starts having these feelings she's never had before. They start seeing each other and the way they connect. For the first time in her life, yo, she's getting respect. 3 months later, her mom's doing the dishes and she builds up the courage to tell her all about this new love interest. All of a sudden, the mom gets crazy pissed. Like, I didn't raise my only daughter to turn out like this. She grabs a plate and hurls it to the floor and says, "Get out of my house. You can't stay here anymore." The girl starts bawling like an infant. It's like the plate and her heart both shattered in that same instant. She moves in with her aunt, but things are not the same. And squarely on her own shoulders where she places the blame. The next week, she writes a letter to her girlfriend, closes her eyes, pops some pills, and she lets her world end.
These are memories of life and love gone wrong. How can I find the strength within myself to be strong? And don't forget me, 'cause we are the same. And when I'm gone, who's to blame?
He hops in the car, a nervous smile on his face. He's 28 now, 10 years since he's been back to this place, a place whose halls he knew so well, that many times felt like 4 years of living hell. Now he's a talented cartoonist, featured across the nation. In high school, art was his one salvation from the pain of spending 4 years trapped in a closet. When he drew, it was like he could take that pain and pause it and find a new reality where he could be himself. Instead of keeping his identity bottled up on a shelf, he contemplated suicide on more than one occasion and just might have gone through with it, except for the persuasion of a teacher who everyone called Mr. A. Although immature kids called him Mr. Gay. 12 years ago, he broke an unwritten rule and came out of the closet to the whole school. Some called him sick and asked for his termination, but to this young man, Mr. A was his inspiration, the only confidant that he had. He couldn't even come out to his mom and dad. And now the news had just broke that Mr. A had tragically passed away, but sometimes it's like life comes out of death. And provoking this young man to come back to this place he had left. He contacted the school and asked to be a guest speaker to talk about art, about life, about his favorite teacher. He talks about his sexual orientation, and at the end, he receives a standing ovation. Afterwards, this one boy pulls him aside and says, "I just need to tell you what I'm feeling inside. You proved to me that I can make it through all of the strife. I swear to God, you just saved my life."
These are the memories of life and love gone wrong. How can I find the strength within